Hello, everyone. Blue Star Saber here with
Hi.
Lucky Cheese 7.
Of course.
Well, I keep forgetting that you're not Margarita.
Who?
Margarita. Unfortunately, he is unable to. Who likes to introduce himself? Unfortunately, he is not here today as he is busy working. So it's just me and Lucky Chi today, folks. In the first solo chapter review of My Hero Academia, we have done in a very long time on my channel.
People still read manga reader? Wow.
You know what I mean.
I know. Hey, we have an ongoing joke for you. We have to have an ongoing joke for manga reader too.
Yeah, and we have an ongoing joke for you of always being Mr. Delay.
Hey, I haven't been that way in a long time. Hey.
Unfortunately, you've delayed this review for quite a bit.
Only by a day.
Let's see. Well, yep, you're finally here at last. So yeah, I can do this before my go on my holiday.
Oh, you hear that, people? Apparently, y'all don't matter to Blue. It's just.
Hey, well, I'm sorry, but my holiday is involving family time.
That's fair.
So yeah. So before that, I'd hope to at least do this one stream review. That and possibly the next and the latest chapter of One Piece, which I'm probably thinking of doing tomorrow. If you're more than welcome to join.
I gotta see how my schedule looks, but I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay. But enough about my advertising. We're here to discuss chapter 395. Let's see, which is called Built Upon the Joy of Others, or as I'm putting it as Uraraka versus Toga Conclusion. Toga's Act of Love. So yeah. So pretty much we are getting the conclusion. This chapter is pretty much the conclusion of the big Uraraka versus Toga fight.
Pretty much.
In which we will find out what Toga's ultimate fate is after Uraraka has gotten her to smile and Ritzy lose the and drain up the remaining time that she had twice as blood for.
Yep.
So yeah, how will it conclude? Will it be satisfying? Will it bring outrage, or will it Ritzy, or is it meh? We'll find out, unless you've already looked on the Twitter reactions.
Oh boy. I've seen the reactions, so I'm not talking about that.
Enough, we'll talk about that in the discussion part. But for now, we're doing the summary bit. Unless you want to do summary piece by piece, then talk about certain scenes, or just whole review, whole summary, then discussion.
However you want to approach it.
Fair enough. Well, I guess we'll see how it goes with this chapter. Well, we follow off on where the last chapter left off, where a lot of the Twices are all fading, as we seeing them trying to just as they were consuming some heroes, Endeavor. Let's see, Ida, I believe, and I believe also Hawks, which
it's Hawks.
Yeah, as I couldn't tell there was a third other from this little silhouette in the first page's corner, but I think that even might be that's probably either. But
is it Endeavor?
I think one of them is Endeavor, with the city bit, and then there's Ida. And then we see Hawks here, which the Toga there had just managed to do a slash with a knife.
Yep.
Saying like this is him going like how this is fair enough, given how Bugawara, or as we all know him as Twice, was a pretty decent guy. As he's talking to Himiko Toga, which she's still seeing a bit of angry face as she's shading away, crying, I guess. In a sense, knowing that this is probably the end of Twice as we know it. As you get a bit of a narration inside Toga, thinking how she wielded her knife to become those she loved, but she ended up gripping it out of rage and hatred, in order to make the world a bit easier for her, as you see the original Toga no longer transformed, only with her ritzy gear for the fill-in gear for her quirk in her hand, as well as a knife with Uraraka collapsed on the floor.
Yep.
But she's Now, but she's still, of course, injured from the blowback from using others' quirks. As she realizes that all the heroes that got caught up in like Uraraka's chain zero gravity, she was giving them all a gentle landing and all that stuff, and only released their quirk much slower, despite the fact that she has damaged herself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, as she comments that in the end she'd never let anyone go down hard. As Uraraka's just thinking about how much blood she's lost and that she's unable to move and all that stuff. As Toga looks on, as Toga looks on the battlefield, thinking, I think, to the words that I think Shigaraki or maybe Darby have said about how she could have a lifetime's worth of. Well, actually, this is actually my bag. Uraraka's words about you can have a lifetime of her blood.
Yeah, that was Ochiko.
Yeah, my bad. I should probably fully read the whole bit, but yeah. But she pretty much looks around the battlefield with all the knockdown heroes, like you see Jiro and and I think let's see, Suyu, yeah. As I think she's just complimenting what's going on, and realizing that the loss of blood that Uraraka has must be fatal, given the fact she kept moving even after being stabbed. As she ends up telling Ochiko that the League of Villains will destroy everything, and once that's settled, the world she knows will be an easier one to live in, as she thinks back to all her friends in the League of Villains. Let's see. Pretty much all of them are now either dead, captured, or slowly dying, I think. Let's see. But she ends up going to Uraraka, taking some of her blood to drink to transform into her, saying that given how she was happy to hear what she said, even though she said that it was a winner takes all, bat fight to the death, she thinks that a world without her in it is one that she doesn't want to live in and all that stuff, or doesn't like to be in. As she uses her quirks, the gear for her quirk to to connect both her and with the Uraraka. She is now in order to give all of her blood to express her feelings and all that stuff to show how genuine they are. As all her blood is now transferring into Uraraka. As Uraraka realizes what she's doing and realizing that if she does, she's like, Toga is likely to die, as she compares how this is the same way Jin did for her when back in the Meta Liberation Army when he created a duplicate to give her blood and all that stuff. Which, funny enough, I think he ended up mourning for that duplicate's death, if I recall, at the end of the arc. It's kind of funny. But yeah. But she goes on to say that she has none of Jin's blood yet, so she can't make any copies of herself to transfer blood to, so she's using her own blood. As when she turns into someone, she also turns into their blood, with Uraraka saying, "Don't do this." But even if, Toga realizes that Uraraka was at least planning on visiting her in prison to make all those blood donations until the day she dies. But but she doesn't want that, even though Uraraka could have just been fine with just catching villains and all that stuff and eliminating them. And that was just doing the right thing as a hero, as she points out. But she went beyond just to try and help someone, even though she hurt her friends and stabbed her. But she thinks she's weird. But Uraraka points out she is also weird for doing this. As Toga says that she lives and loves as he please. So she's not going to let her catch him. And just how she can't bear to let her get away and all that stuff. So she's apologizing for stabbing and all that other stuff she's done, like screaming and angry. talks about how Taoya burned down her old house and how Ritzy that made her happy because of that normal house with all the bad memories of her. Even though he did it for her sake, while she was happy, she still felt like all the stuff that happened there is still within her heart. So even Uraraka didn't able to make it go away. But she does say, even though it was painful and how Uraraka reached out to her, she managed to make her heart filled with soul light, if you will. In a sense, I suppose you could say Uraraka, let's see, has given, in a sense, Uraraka's words has finally given her something she's always heard, if you ask me. Uraraka thinks back to what, let's see, she said to Midoriya, what she and Midoriya are talking about in regards to a battle, but they couldn't help what they saw. Let's see. As she talks about how she could probably just float away at Toga, as you see Uraraka, I believe both of them are starting to cry. As Toga thanks Uraraka for making her genuinely happy, as even though Toga has transformed, as Toga had transformed into Uraraka, her head is now fully back to her own original head, as you can start to see some of the bits of the quirk transformation fade away as you see Toga transform back into her original form a bit, as she starts to think about how she wanted to become other people so badly, even in like fits of jealousy and affection, drank all their blood, but as Uraraka's starting to cry out her Toga's name, and you get more of like narrations that maybe if she had probably met Uraraka and had these feelings sooner, Toga thinks like even though she might have been able to draw all people's blood, earlier, she might have been able to realize she could have given her blood away as a result of like Uraraka's kindness. And if she experienced that kind of love, then maybe she would have had an easier time living in the world as she's kind of thinking about what her life could have been, I guess. But as she says, well, regardless, she is Himiko Toga, and she lived and loved how she pleased, and that's how she made the life her way. As she's just a normal girl with the cutest smile in the world, as she just lies down unconscious next to Uraraka, showing her quirk, slowly starting to transfer away as her life is now gone, ending the chapter. Well, Lucky Chi, what do you think?
Interesting.
I have to admit, I did not really expect that conclusion for Toga.
Well, I think given how, like, the actions and everything that's happened with her character, like, since her introduction, I'm not, okay, I can't say I'm, like, super surprised, but at the same time, I'm, like, thinking, it's a fitting ending, for sure.
Yeah, I have to admit, I think this is arguably with the way Koei went down with this is arguably the best way you can conclude her character, because I think Toga living scot-free and living a normal life, that unfortunately probably can never really happen, just due to the fact that, she did murder people. She has murdered people. People have talked about that in the comments from what I've seen. You can't do like a full redemption. You can't do like thank you for being a mass murderer, or thank you for the coolest guy. Yeah. You can't do that.
You are gonna keep bringing that up. Actually, that's my thing. I'm the one that keeps bringing that up.
Yeah, I did it for you this week, Lucky Chi, so you don't have to.
Oh, thank you.
Granted, that might be applying more to what happens with Shigaraki in the future, but still.
Okay, there's a it's gonna sound ironic, and Blue knows this, because look, Shigaraki's my boy, but I'll be real. A peaceful life for him, it's not gonna happen.
No, no, there's no way. After what he's done, you can't excuse that.
Like for Aaron, it was one thing you could kind of make an argument there, but Shigaraki, I'm like, oof, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think even to a lesser extent, the same with Toga. She drank blood from innocent people, and also she has also killed people. Let's see, let's see, some of them were, of course, heroes in the last war in her fit of rage after Jin's death. So, there's that, and also she's also killed Miss Compress. Or no, not Compress. Curious, yeah, Curious. That villain Curious, which so yeah, she's killed a bunch of people. Regardless of if she's now changed as a person, there's still those actions, and there needs to be consequences for them. So her living scot free, it was not an option. So the only two options, of course, were she gets arrested, or she gets killed, which it's from this chapter is implying. So at the very least, we do have one death in this war, at least one death in this war incoming.
Unless Ochiko kicks the bucket. Well, okay, no. I'm not gonna say she's gone, but she's definitely out of commission right now.
Yeah. I don't. I think, let's see, Uraraka's part in this war is probably concluded, unless you get every hero rushing to Midoriya to help out in the final battle. But something tells me that's not going to happen. At the moment, I think it's pretty much going to be Midoriya versus Shigaraki. Maybe Bakugo rejoin the fight. I'm not sure. Granted, I'm not. Let's see. Granted, we have to wait and see if he's going to come back to life. I mean, because I believe Edshot is sacrificing himself just to save Bakugo, which arguably is another death. Again, I think there's also one of Endeavor's psychics that might have just been burned to death by Darby, the one with all the bandages. I think he might be dead. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, but granted, yeah. But despite the fact that this is the final war, there seems to be lacking a bit of death. I will admit. Though it seems like we're starting to get some of those deaths now. And granted, maybe Darby might be dying. I'm not sure about that. But yeah. Well, but yeah, I do like in the beginning of the chapter that we did see that. I mean, we talked about this in the last stream when Margarita was here. That let's see, we were questioning whether or not the Toga Twice clones were like reaching the other heroes that are nearby in the battlefields, like either, let's see, Endeavor and his family, and of course Hawks. And we do see that they did arrive, but either just in time, or let's see, just or Uraraka bought enough time, depending on how you want to say it. Let's see, with like her focus on like Uraraka, the Toga's focus on Uraraka, the clones disappear just before they can actually do any damage to our heroes and all that stuff. Even because I mean, face it, they're all pretty much worn out from all their actions. But yeah, but I do like how there was at least a little bit of dialogue and conversation between let's see, Hawks and Uraraka about Twice. And I do like how let's see, Hawks is like, yeah, I can see why you're doing this to me, given how Twice was a decent guy. Because I do like how, despite everything, Hawks still sees Twice as at least a generally good fella, but he just couldn't do anything to stop him at the time. And it's arguably going to be the one death that he probably regrets in his life. But I do like how you'd see a bit of, like, I do like the sort of vengeance eyes that you see within Toga. Let's see, with a Toga clone when trying to kill, let's see, Hawks, because it's like she missed her one chance of revenge. Because arguably, this is probably still the one person that Toga would never forgive. So yeah. But yeah, I do like one thing I also kind of like in this chapter, Lucky Chi, is that Toga comments that Uraraka, despite their own damage to her body and all that stuff, she still in the end made sure she used her quirk to gently lift down all the other injured heroes in the battlefield to make sure they're all like alive. None of them got hurt, which shows just the sort of contrast between how shows just how the contrast between like how Toga once used Uraraka's quirk and how she used her how she uses her own quirk, because I think it goes to show you that quirks are not, this chapter in many ways kind of, I think it sort of emphasizes how quirks are not necessarily evil or good or bad, it's how they're used. And in Uraraka's case, she uses it in a nice, gentle way, while Toga used it for violence and to the act of kindness that she's about to do. But anyway, I do like a sort of like a Toga's reasoning about what she's doing with, like, even though she would have had an easier life with like sticking to the League of Villains, the destruction they're causing, but given the kindness that Uraraka has said to her, she doesn't want her to die. So she is using that, like, duplicating her. So she's turning to Uraraka one last time to transfer blood, to save her, even if at the cost of her own death. Lucky Chi there?
I'm still here. I'm just listening to what you're saying.
Fair enough. So yeah. So it's like, so I do like how, despite the fact that she realizes, even though, Uraraka's side winning won't have that easy life for her that she dreamed of, she at least does, but she loves Uraraka enough that she doesn't want her to die. So she's willing to do this, I guess you could say, this one good act of love, if you will, rather than just anger or jealousy, like she's been like with like using her quirk up to this point. So yeah, but I do like how Uraraka. I did like how Toga's reasoning about how, even if your side did win and we both lived, Uraraka, I know that my fate is probably jail, but she's choosing her own. But she's choosing her own, like, she's choosing to go out on her own terms, which arguably most people in real life probably would not want criminals to go out on their own terms. They'd probably want them to be tried and properly punished, if you will. But of course, I think Toga realizes that given what's going on with her, she's like decided that, of course, let's see, if she's going to go down, she's going to do at least protect one person that she loves. So yeah, and I do like how this chapter kind of emphasizes just how, like, how do I say it? How if she had perhaps met Uraraka sooner and gotten like someone that was willing to offer up their blood, she might have realized that with her quirk, if combined, even if not counting like the stuff with Jin, because with like the loss of Jin's quirk, she can't do a duplicate of herself to blood, but she has to do herself. But with her, with her ability to transform into people through blood, she figures out she could have used her quirk to like do blood transfusions to help save other people's lives, not just Uraraka's. But if she could have learned to think like that, she might have actually had a happy and normal life. Showing, despite what the parents say, she actually found a thing to use her quirk that could have helped in a normal society, despite her parents being about, oh, she's a freak, she's a monster. And at the very least, but even though she didn't realize this sooner, she's at least happy that she lived her life. And she's like a normal girl with a cute smile. Though some people might debate that in real life, but still. But yeah, we've actually managed to see sort of like what she could have done with this quirk if her parents were, not, let's see, horrible people, if you will. I don't know. What do you think?
Um. Hmm. I'm trying to figure out how to put words into this.
Fair enough. Take your time.
Uh, it's an interesting way to look at it. I'll say for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. In many ways, it kind of reminds me of. I'm trying to remember his name. The kid, the UA student with the control voice quirk.
Yeah.
What's
Monoma?
his What's his name again?
Monoma?
No. That's the copycat one. I think. Oh no. Let's see. Voice quirk. Voice quirk. My Hero Academia. Hold on.
Oh, are you talking about Present Mike?
No, not present Mike. I'm talking about the one that can control people if they respond to him.
Yeah, that's Monoma.
Wait, is that no? Hold on a second. What's it? Oh, class 1C, is it?
Oh no, not Monoma. Oh, let me look.
Shinso. Yeah, Shinso.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got my names mixed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you know how Shinso? Many people told him that his quirk sounds like that of a villain's.
Yeah.
But then after his demonstration in the UA fight, many of the heroes talked about how this quirk could have been useful if used for like quite a few heroic actions, like how they could use it to help interrogate villains,
True.
stuff like that. It's kind of like how it's like this way with with Toga's quirk. Given the fact that she could transform into people by taking a bit of their blood, she could give back and that means that she also imitates their. Besides quirk, she also imitates their blood. So in many ways, she could have used her quirk to do blood transfusions to anyone that needed it. So in many ways, she could have been some sort of I guess, doctor or nurse that could have helped with blood loss injuries and all that stuff. If she had been given this idea sooner by someone like Uraraka. Which goes to, I guess, in many ways, this chapter may have had an underlying theme that no quirk is truly evil and what you use it for. It's just how you apply it. I guess there might be some debate on Shigaraki's destruction quirk and All for One's ability to steal things, but still. But who knows? Even I guess a quirk like that could have found its uses. Found its uses, but yeah. But yeah. But anyway, I do like how Uraraka, given her sweet nature, doesn't really want Toga to die, even though she's choosing it as her own terms. What about you?
On coming to wait, you're talking about her coming to terms with everything that just happened?
What, Toga or Uraraka?
You're talking about Toga, right?
Okay, I guess I was talking about Toga, waiting for you to respond, but I kind of went on with my own point a bit, and then I started talking about Uraraka. But yeah, let's talk about the Toga stuff first.
Oh, I can get her side of things. It's like I mentioned before. When you see where her story started, and just kind of seeing where things ended up with, this chapter.
Uh-huh.
I think it fits for the most part. And with Ochiko, I can kind of get it too. I can. Though I do see the other side of the argument where it's like, like, does that fit or does it not fit? But thematically, I can see how it makes sense because when you consider how their first meeting turned out and how this final confrontation turned out, it's, it fits in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I will admit, sometimes I feel like there could have been done with the Uraraka and Toga conflict.
Yeah.
Or at least given more stuff for Uraraka to do at the very least to build up to this. But I will admit, I think at least this bit here is probably as satisfying conclusion as you get. I mean, I think the moment when, Uraraka decided that she wanted to help Toga, I think there was just like, no way it can just end with something like, Toga, you're going down. You're going to pay for the things you did. Let's see, you deserve this, just end, or something like that. I don't think you could have seen that going, even though I think some people would probably say that would probably be more of a realistic way to how to handle this villain. But I think, of course, Koei sort of went down the sort of, how you say, standard shonen, let's see, hero trying to help the villains situation.
Basically.
Yeah. Which I know, let's see, many people, depending on the villain's actions, people can be very like, no.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between, let's say how Fairy Tail handles it versus Naruto's extreme length on trying to get Sasuke back. Whew.
I suppose, though, I think there are some aspects of the Fairy Tail ones that might be kind of a stretch, but
yeah,
but yeah, but yes, but yeah, but let's see, but Naruto at least went a bit extreme with like of course Naruto made sure that all the villains that were too irredeemable, or at least could not really live in a normal society, could still be allowed. I mean, because particularly like Obito, he did eventually die, even though it was a very long, dragged out death, and Naruto's words were rather controversial, to say the least. No, granted, I say that.
Well, it depends. If you're going by the unofficial translations, he called him the coolest guy ever. But if you go by the official ones, he said Obito's nothing but awesome. So, well, take your pick on.
Yeah, no, granted, I do say that, but then Orochimaru's still alive, and Kabuto's running an orphanage.
So okay, Kabuto's a weird case. It's a super weird case because if you take his backstory into account, it's like, well, okay, you can kind of get where he's coming from.
But
but when you consider where it led him, that's where it's like, okay.
I mean, he did practically raise the dead, which killed thousands of people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a very weird situation.
So, yeah. So try and explain that situation to all those orphans.
Maybe in a Naruto, I was going to say maybe in a Naruto anniversary podcast. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, but fair. We'll do your let's see, the one you're planning for now. But yeah. So in many ways, but yeah, like I said, like we said earlier, Uraraka. I mean, Toga living scot-free. This can't happen. But yeah, I do like how
unless she like it'd be like this, like unless she like escaped and like disappeared into like say the forest like Toph, then I guess it's only it could work. Like where she's like never to be seen again.
Yeah, the only way I can see that is if she faked her death and all that stuff. Which,
yeah, that's what I meant.
Which could happen, though. That does feel like that she did escape any pretty consequences of her actions. But yeah, but at the very least, with the very least, she's doing this one good act, Ritzy, which won't probably redeem her in the eyes of the public, at least in the world of My Hero Academia. But she at least did one good thing, at least making sure that one of its bright heroes in the future, who can save a lot of people with her quirk, is still around. Even though she probably still wants the League of Villains to win in the end. But yeah.
Yeah.
I am curious to see how the remaining villains that are still alive will react to Toga's death, but I think that'll probably be a couple of chapters.
True. Or you're gonna have to just wait and see what happens.
But yeah, but we have, let's see, but we at least got an actual confirmed casualty, I think.
Well, all it took was I'm gonna make this joke until we get the chapter. Up until 5 chapters before the series ends.
Which, let's see, I remain unconvinced. No announcements have been made, so take that.
Hey, look, I'm just making a joke at this point about it.
Yeah. Oh boy, we just have to wait for chapter 400 to go through before that joke can die down.
I mean, or it could go a other direction. It could go, you know what? We get it to 398. Drop the 2-chapter announcement date. Oh yeah, it's ending in 2 chapters. It could be worse than an even worse situation. But I don't know.
Fair enough.
Okay, realistically, 410, chapter 410. I think, which was 15 chapters? Yeah, 15 chapters. That'd probably be where you take
So you believe that the remaining 3 fights that are left, with Aizawa versus Kurogiri, All Might versus All for One, and Midoriya versus Shigaraki are all going to be 5 chapters each?
Well, considering how long the Toga and Ojiko fight turned out to be, I think maybe that's possible.
I can possibly see it that way, though.
And I mean, I know some people could be worried about, how long would the epilogue be? I mean, okay, let's be fair. They kind of duped us on Naruto, because I was going to say, Naruto gave us a 52-page epilogue, and then I was thinking, wait, no, they didn't. They just split the chapter in 2 and did 699 and 700. So,
yeah, and both those chapters were awful. But yeah, granted, the last chapter felt more like a prologue than an epilogue.
I was gonna say this, outside of the Naruto and Sasuke bit of 699, yeah, I'd say so. The only redeeming part of 699, I'd say, was just Naruto giving Sasuke back his headband. That's the one redeeming part about that chapter, but
Yep. So yeah. So this fight is concluded, and probably I think from the last stream we talked about the fight maybe not have lived up to the long built up expectations and hype for it, I believe.
Yeah.
But at the very least, with this conclusion is pretty, at least in terms of character work, is pretty solid.
Yeah, it's a satisfying conclusion to a fight that you could argue could have been better handled. But again, there's 2 things. You have a really good fight, and then you have the aftermath. If one of those, it's a weird thing. You can have a fight that's okay, it was fine. But if your aftermath is good, then it's good. And I think I mentioned this before, a long time ago. But do you remember the fight between Natsu and Zero, the final fight?
Yeah.
I've always said the final fight between Natsu and Zero was really good. The aftermath is where I was like, really? That's how we're ending this off? But
fair enough. If I recall, I felt like that fight went down a bit too quickly, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
But yeah. In many ways, yes. In some ways, the fight, bit of a letdown, but the conclusion satisfactory. Though it does make me believe that Toga, in the sense, is arguably My Hero Academia's best developed female character.
Are you making a complaint against the goddess that is Ochiko Uraraka?
No,
Lily Blue?
no,
No,
I'm not.
I'm
No.
joking. I'm joking. I'm not saying that, but I can imagine a lot of other people go like, "Is he
Oh,
disgracing her good name?"
oh, don't get me wrong. I think Uraraka's a decent character.
Yeah.
I just feel like let's see, Koei could have done more with her. Let's see, but Toga, I felt like had quite a bit of a journey from when we introduced
Oh,
her.
she did, yeah.
Let's see, with let's see how she's established herself with the League of Villains. How she ended up making some interesting rivalry dynamic with not only our main heroine, but also like the secondary, Mitzi, the most important secondary female character with Suyu, and as well as Ritzy developing as well as developing some sort of maybe granted one-sided relationship with Midoriya. Let's see, and had quite a few encounters against him. Her own, let's see, developing her own relationships within the League of Villains, particularly with Twice, and how that played out. Even having her own adversary in the Meta Liberation Army, and then the loss of Twice. Let's see, her breakdown. Let's see with her. Let's see against Uraraka, and even I guess Midoriya. I guess that she went on the rampage until Uraraka finally gave her sort of the words that she always wanted to hear, arguably, but never did from, like, say, her parents because they never considered her to be normal. So in many ways, she had a very long arc that felt, let's see, very well developed. Let's see, the time was used well, and this conclusion was pretty well done. In many ways, so yeah. I mean, arguably, we might be able to do a stream talking about, let's see, about these two characters. Let's see, either together or separate streams, if you will. But yeah, but arguably, I'd say with this chapter, you probably got like the conclusion of arguably the best developed female character in My Hero Academia.
Definitely.
Which is arguably the main villainess, if you will, or the main female villain. Which is something you don't often hear, I guess, for a shonen manga.
Well, I think it depends. And I think I mentioned this a long time ago, but I think the best female villain in Naruto, I would say, is Tayuya, without a doubt. Despite not, honestly, just being
One arc villain.
a one-off villain, she, still pretty good. Better than Kagi,
Yeah.
at least. I'll give her that.
I think most characters are better than Kaguya.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's just like normally, let's see, shonen manga. Well, arguably, you could say My Hero Academia has a female character development problem still, like most other shonen. Let's see, but arguably, you never really, but the one, let's see, I guess you could say exception or blind spot to that is the fact that the main villain, one of the female character that's one of the main villains, ended up being one of the best developed ones.
True.
Which, even with like some of the other shonen manga, which let's just say less than desired female character development. Let's see, even the female villains aren't all that. Even the female villains don't get all that much focus on. But Uraraka got like quite a lot of fair development. So I mean, Toga got quite a lot of fair development. So yeah.
Yeah, I would equate Ochiko to probably someone like Rukia. That's probably where I would equate Ochiko to. In that sense. Maybe okay. Maybe not like as high as Rukia, but like close to there. You know?
Toga or Uraraka?
Ochiko.
I don't know. I do feel like Rukia had somewhat of a
Rukia did have an arc. That's one thing. Rukia had a big character arc. But like if we're talking about like how she was handled compared to like Well, again, there's like a tier list, right? Like between the big three female leads, you have Nami, Rukia, and Sakura, right? If we're putting Ochiko somewhere in that list, I'd say probably like just around there.
I'd say Uraraka is above Sakura, but below Rukia.
That's where I would say too. Yeah, not
Because
exactly there, but not like
I mean,
below either.
Uraraka's had some character moments, and even let's see, it did have a big final fight at the end, something that Sakura sadly didn't get. I mean, okay, she took part in like Team Seven's let's see fight against Kaguya, but that's arguably the closest you can get. But and
Yeah,
even
and,
then,
and
that
that
was
was
rather
I was
limited.
gonna say like if we didn't get Naruto versus Sasuke, and that's the last thing we got, it would have been like, well, okay.
Or at the very least, if she actually got to have her own individual solo fight against someone, say like
Sasuke.
you could have like let's see things I'm thinking of like you could have had for the arc at the time. It could have been like Kabuto, Orochimaru, Spiral Zetsu, Karin, individuals like that. Let's see. And I think there's cases where each of them could have been like Kabuto, like opposite Mecha Ninja, Orochimaru, villain in the shadows that corrupted Sasuke or started Sasuke on his path, his own evil motives, something that not her master could have, someone that not even her master took down. Spiral Zetsu, the whole wood style thing, and maybe rescuing Yamato and carrying, the sort of let's see the Sasuke support, the Sasuke support, while she's the Naruto support.
Yeah.
You could have done either one of those things, and honestly, that could have been fine, even if Sakura didn't get involved in like the final fight itself, even if for like minor support. Let's see, but let's see, but she didn't. But yeah, but Uraraka at the very least did have like Toga, and that was like the end. We at least very know that at least in the end game, Uraraka was going to face Toga. It's just that many of the stuff that came before, let's see, was a bit honestly, I'd say a bit too either happened too quickly or not enough. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I'd mentioned last stream that Uraraka did have some fights, like in the overall arc, that big giant muscle guy, but that was mostly done off screen and then just used to give a power up to overhaul later. Let's see, the class 1A and 1B joint battle, her fighting, while she took down some of the students from the other team, it was all done rather quickly to be like a full-on fight. And the second encounter against Toga, Ritzy, was rather relatively quick because it was more building up to this final fight here.
Yeah.
So arguably, yeah, a lot more could have been done. Heck, she could have done something against one of the other like villains that were in Toga in the battlefield that Toga also had in her. It was like one that Nomu, I guess. Though arguably, I think Uraraka fighting Nomu by herself, she's not going to win a fight. But could have helped to mobilize it, or even that Moonfish guy. But Toga, at the very least, was a pretty satisfying conclusion with her character, and arguably, I think from this chapter, I've concluded that she's probably the best developed female character within the series. I mean, granted, I do think we're going to get something with Uraraka later because we know she confessed that she loves Midoriya.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So we're going to get something between her and Midoriya later down the line. Now, is she going to full on? I believe she's going to try, arguably, probably full on confess that she loves him. Whether or not he's going to return the feelings, but I do think those two are pretty much endgame at this point. I think there's no denying at this point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I've already gone about that rant on that rant last stream, so we're not going to continue it there. Anyway, Lucky Cheese, is there anything else you want to say on this chapter?
I think we pretty much got everything.
Yeah, I think arguably we probably covered everything, though granted, maybe went a bit longer than perhaps we should. But yeah, is there anything that you disliked of this chapter, I'd say?
It's more of a nitpick. I would have been kind of cool to see where we could have like went to next, but I think maybe that's just me nitpicking. But I feel like that's probably something Koei is going to surprise us with 396.
Yeah, I mean, we've got like 3 different fights that we're going to turn to. If I had to guess, let's see, Ayazawa would probably be the next one, since, well, Kurogiri isn't as important as let's see, All Might versus All for One rematch, or Midoriya versus Shigaraki.
Yeah.
If anything,
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I could see it to where maybe we go to Kurogiri next, and then you have All Might versus All for One and Deku versus Shigaraki happening like simultaneously, like back to back. Like,
yeah.
you do like one half the chapter on them, the other half's like,
Arguably, I feel like Koei might try and do that, separate the chapter, maybe like do an update on all 3 of those battles before focusing on one of those fights.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And in many ways, it's kind of like how One Piece tends to do its fights.
Oh, yeah.
Which, and sometimes can be frustrating just when a fight is getting good.
Yeah, depends. If it's Dressrosa, then, well, Dressrosa was Dressrosa.
Well, yeah, Dressrosa, that Dressrosa is what I was using as the example. As most of those fights ended up being, just as they were starting, ended up being skipped, and then you're mostly just seeing the conclusions.
Oh, just imagine what that would look like for the Netflix series.
Well, I'm very curious to see.
I'm curious how they handle Dressrosa.
Yes, but yeah, it'll be very. But at the moment, I mean, it does look like they have plans to eventually get to there.
Yeah.
Given the Easter egg, but with the bounties. But yeah, but that is a stream for another time. But anyway, overall, how would you score this chapter?
Overall, I'd give it an amazing.
That's like a 9 or something for you, right?
Yeah. Just based on like how it concluded and everything, I would give it just based on that.
Yeah, I'd say I'd probably also give it a 9, really. I mean, it's like, this is like arguably the best, like I said, best thing you could do with Toga, because, well, you can't really have her living out free. She clearly is a character that does not like going to jail, so it's like a sort of death, let's see, redemption by death, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very common and tired trope for some people, and some people feel like too many villains get this trope. But I feel like this is like the best that you can do with this character here. Now, granted, let's see, given the fact that Koei's done this with Uraraka and Toga, the only question to see is, will he try and do something like this with Midoriya and Shigaraki?
True.
Because we do know that Midoriya wants to save Shigaraki.
He does.
Now, granted, Midoriya does know that if he can't save Shigaraki, he will have to die. Mm-hmm. But I think, given the fact that we have that subconscious of a young Shigaraki crying for help when he was like a little boy, we know that there's going to be something of where Midoriya brings that little boy back, if you will. Yeah. The only way is like how he's going to wrap it up.
Just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, and how that is concluded can probably either make or break the series for many people who read My Hero Academia.
I'm gonna say it right now. If Koei messes that up, I'm gonna go from being like, you know what, the series could have a good ending, decent ending, to, yeah, we're not saving the series anymore. That's how dire the Deku and Shigaraki fight is.
Yeah, it could even. So for you, it could be like an either, oh, it's okay, like Fairy Tail, or it's awful, like Naruto and Attack on Titans.
I'm just saying, if I hear Deku like forgiving Shigaraki for like all his misdeeds, I'm gonna be like, not this shit again.
and that seems to be a common thing that shonen characters seem to do with their villains, minus Luffy from the looks of things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, with the exception of Luffy. Luffy's like the only one that's like, nope.
Maybe Goku. I'm not sure. I don't really follow Goku that much.
Okay, I think Z Goku for sure wouldn't do it. Super Goku's a little wishy-washy on that.
Fair enough, but yeah. But anyway, I think Lucky Chi, that arguably concludes our stream. And just when someone was finally starting to watch it from the looks of things, or listen into it. But anyway, for that person who is listening in, I hope you enjoyed what little bit you did have to say, though I know he's gone now, but for those who do end up listening and watching the stream to the end, I hope you enjoyed what we have to say, even if you're just watching it in the background. Let's see. I am Blue Star Saber.
I'm Lucky Chi.
And we are now signing off. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Goodbye. And plus ultra.
5 more chapters left.
You're supposed to say plus ultra.
Plus ultra. 5 chapters left.
And with that, we are done.
Later.
Whoops. Wrong button. There we go. Goodbye, everyone.